Learn the most advanced recruiting techniques. Land the most desirable talent. Launch your company towards massive success. This is the Higher Power Radio Show with Rick Jarrard.
Startups, you must build a solid board of advisors and plan for that in the beginning. Today we're going to talk about building your advisory board. My name is Rick Jarrard, and welcome to the Higher Power Radio Show. Our goal is to provide solutions to solve the most difficult hiring challenges, to secure the best talent to ensure your company's success. Today our guest is John Showers. John is the founder and CEO of Inc., a new business networking platform geared toward helping people build better networks. They were funded earlier this year, and they're in the alpha phase of testing and preparing for a launch next month. So, John, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you.
There's
Thank
a little
you for
pause
having
there.
me.
Absolutely. So, John and I met a few weeks ago at an OC Tech happy hour event, and we hit it off. Number one, people listening to don't see this, but people watching the stream, we both have great haircuts, and so we were both admiring that, and we started talking a little bit about your company that you're building, and I was pretty impressed by what you were telling me about how you were built out your board of advisors. So that's what kind of sparked today's conversation. So the first thing I want to talk about, or showcase, is a little bit about your story and how you came up with the idea.
Okay. So basically, as you said earlier, Inc.'s a new business networking platform. It's a web and mobile app that helps you build better networks. And it kind of all started with a few issues that I had ran into going to different events, trying to network, find vendors, basically just create more effective networks in general. And so it just kind of is an idea in the idea phase earlier last year. And from that kind of idea, we just started pushing forward.
Okay. Now share with us a little bit about your story about how you came, approached the whole business angle, you not coming from a tech background.
Okay, so mostly my background is military, and I guess if you were to ask what culminates who I am up to this point that got to me, I would kind of break it into three areas. The men in my family, military, and fitness have all kind of made effects to where I'm at today. Whether it be building morals, working hard, trying to build character, overcoming adversity, and failing. I guess you could say, if I were to sum it up. So I had a lot of things in my past that kind of helped me with a mindset to move forward.
Sure.
And be passionate about what I do. So throughout my military career, if you will.
Now, you were a Marine, right?
I was,
yeah, right.
Yes. For 4 years, many years ago,
I'm not going to pretend like I know what to say there, but I know there's a boo-rah or something like that.
A boo-rah. Oh. Yeah. It's okay.
There we go. See?
No judgment here. No judgment.
You should definitely judge me on that one.
Okay. So I got out of the military in 2010. I came out here to Orange County. I was big into fitness, so I had started a business for training and built clientele that way through kind of athletic performance, and then an executive type clientele, also not in tech.
Got it.
So after about 7 years of that, this idea started really ringing in the head due to what I had said earlier, and I just kind of started bouncing the idea of Inc. off of friends, family, and kind of the people that I trust in my network, and there seemed to be a lot of validation for a need in today's market. So I knew without having a tech background, we were in some trouble unless we kind of flipped things and started building a team of advisors early.
Sure. Okay. Now, who did you bring on to your team of advisors? How many people? What was the thought process behind thinking? What gaps did you need to fill?
So I knew with my background, we needed obviously somebody more towards the tech aspect of things.
Sure.
Along with that, possibly business strategy, how to kind of form a business from the inside out. We definitely needed some technical people, which was something we were looking for, along with a couple other avenues as well. So it just so happened through the fitness network that I had through the other business, whether it be clientele or members of the gym, I linked up with somebody right off the bat that I had known for a few years, who ended up being a former executive for Verizon. I guess through that, my
Nice.
world changed pretty dramatically as
Yes.
far as doors opening.
I'm sure. So that was leveraging one of your clients.
Correct.
essentially. Okay.
Yeah. But kind of to go along with that, one big thing for me, I know I'm not the go to college, get a degree kind of guy. For me, that wasn't something that was always very important. So maybe if you're going to be a lawyer or a doctor, but for me, leveraging network is huge,
Sure.
and it can change your life. So being able to kind of lean on the network was definitely the biggest step for us.
Most definitely. And you and I met at a networking event.
Yes, yes, we did.
I'll add that. So, so how did you, let's talk about you had the gaps that you needed to fill in on the tech side. So what, who were the people that you were able to kind of bring on board? You mentioned somebody from Verizon.
Yeah.
Because you had a pretty impressive board, if I remember.
Yes, yeah. So basically, and it's kind of funny because it changes a little bit as well, right? Like some of the advisors that I initially started working with that could help me with just kind of business development. How do I get my idea moving and off the ground? I started with some kind of the executive clients that I had, so from different fields, but
Sure.
very effective to help me. Some from commercial real estate, Colliers International here, and one prior CEO of a nonprofit who really could help me with business development and strategy. And then the guy, former exec from Verizon, who kind of opened me to the tech world and introduced me to an incubator and accelerator out here in Orange County, which kind of lit up the new wave of advisors that were going to come as time progressed.
Sure.
From that point forward.
Okay. And then what have you found the benefits to be of having these people on board with you?
I don't know if we'd be here today without them.
Sure.
Again, not having a tech background, it was going to be detrimental for us to find people that could help in different areas that might not have been strengths of ours, especially for the time being. So being able to lean on people at a point where in the beginning you don't typically have capital unless you're really lucky or you had already made an exit prior.
Sure.
So you're going to have to find out some sort of strategy that's going to be able to give you advice and help you push forward, and maybe you could opt other things versus cash in exchange to kind of get services to help you get to where you need to be.
Yeah, and absolutely. And I feel like a lot of companies, they have their heads down in the work so much that they forget about this piece.
Right.
You know, they try and figure it out on their own, and what ends up happening is that they end up beating their head against the wall quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, my girlfriend and myself would sit in the apartment and just kind of butt heads in circles a little bit initially, and really knew that we needed to find people that we could lean on that could definitely kind of help bring us out of that funk and progress forward, or there was nowhere we were gonna be able to go.
Okay. And then what was the thing that attracted the people to you, do you think?
As far as I typically am very upfront and honest about how I feel. I guess I think I'm genuine as well.
Okay.
And I've definitely given services of people needing my help when they ask for it. And I think that, I don't typically expect something back.
Okay.
And when the time has come around to where I've needed something, not knowing who maybe some of these people were, they've reached out and extended hands themselves. And again, it goes back to a network, which I think creating a network or leaning on a network you've created or want to find is going to be one of the most powerful tools you can use.
Boom. All right. We're going to take a quick break on that. So we're talking with John Showers, CEO of Inc., about the importance of building a strong advisory board. Take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to give some creative solutions to how to recruit your board of advisors.
You're listening to Higher Power with Rick Jarrard. giving you access to recruiting techniques that will help you hire key talent to build your company towards real success. Rick is a recruiting executive and entrepreneur who's been successfully recruiting in the aggressive Silicon Valley technology landscape for the past 2 decades. After a very successful stint at Apogee, he founded Stride Search in 2012. Based on a lean efficiency model, Stride has uniquely positioned itself as a leader in retained search for the most critical talent hires within a small organization. Whether you're a startup executive or recruiting professional, by listening to Hire Power with Rick Jarrard, you will walk away with skills to help you attract and hire great talent. Now back to Hire Power with Rick Jarrard.
And welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Rick Jarrard, and we're talking to John Shower, CEO of Inc. in Irvine. You're at the Cove, correct?
Yes, correct.
Awesome. I was there yesterday for a networking event. It was awesome. So now let's get to the good stuff. Let's give our audience some ways to creatively think about building their board, right? So I think what you were getting at was a lot of people joined the board because they liked you. And it's okay to say they liked me because I'm a good guy. So what do you offer people to join your advisory board? What typically would be the draw to get somebody to join you?
Okay, so, like you said, yes. I mean, a lot of times you'll end up going off of that initially, but roles change fast.
Sure.
And your advisors might change fast as well. And maybe in the beginning you have some people that like you for you, so they're willing to extend a hand and help. But you'll realize pretty quickly you're going to start needing some real key strategic people in different areas, and at some point, inevitably, you're going to obviously have to offer something.
Sure.
A couple kind of smart points and things that I would recommend that kind of we've gone through ourselves is obviously if you don't have cash or capital to give, incentivizing them with equity investing schedules, just like you would do with an investor, just at a different level. Typically a level that's definitely taken back. And what I mean by that is, you give up a fraction of a percent, whatever that number is for you, and really make sure you have a vesting schedule for what that person can do for you. Because a lot of times startups make the mistake of they grab somebody because they have a great background and all this criteria, and they say, hey, I'll give you 5%, and that guy will take that 5%, give you one sentence, and walk away, and you've lost that part of the company.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So what vesting schedule, to break into that a little bit, is having some sort of lines and goals written out in contract into which that advisor needs to abide by and follow timeline-wise until they kind of vest out whatever your agreement was in exchange.
Okay, gotcha. And I'm thinking you probably had an advisor that helped you design that as well,
I mean,
right?
And we're currently creating some now that will pertain towards the advisors that'll be going from here on out, especially, most certainly.
Got it. Okay. So let's talk specifically about how you built your board, because that was really kind of so you worked through one person. Walk me through how this thing kind of branched out for you.
If we were to push past the initial advisors, which a lot were friends and clients in executive positions, once I kind of had joined the incubator and accelerator here in Orange County, I was able to open my resources towards other people in positions more specific to what I needed.
Got it.
So approaching them one at a time with questions that I had for them, I guess, as far as what I was looking for.
Sure.
And then at the same token, kind of seeing what their responses were and how they were as people, and trying to make the best judgment I could and how they would fit in the team with how we're trying to kind of create the culture, I guess you could say.
Got it. Okay, so but more tactically, did you identify people within the community that, hey, look I really want this person on my board, and then how did you go about getting that person on your board?
Yep, definitely. And I would have sit-down one-on-one conversations and really see kind of how involved they were as well. I mean, if they reached out to me after following up, giving me more ideas, helping me with this and that over the next 4 or 5 days to a week, and went out of their way, showing that they're kind of more vested in helping me without me even doing anything or promising anything, it kind of shows me that they're a little more involved and maybe wanting to be a part of the team.
Sure.
So there were a couple things that I would try and judge off that fact as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you guys are still fairly small, right? When you're getting to the
Very.
point of launch.
Yeah,
Okay.
our advisors are actually more in number than the members of the team itself, I guess, as far as, yeah.
Okay. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that, right? A lot less payroll.
Yes.
So let's think about, our listener today who maybe is a group of guys starting up a company, maybe some guys over at the Cove, who know. But they're thinking about building their board of advisors. What creative ways do you think would be beneficial to them to?
From our position, not really of having the ability to do so unless we were in an incubator accelerator scenario. I definitely say that's one way you could go about it. If you can find a local incubator or accelerator that has the ability to maybe take applications and you could get into that, you'll typically find a lot of resources in that kind of area. If not, even going to things like OC Tech Happy Hour, local meetups and startups, because talking to one person after another, you're going to find, where a couple of investors are at, or listen to them on different speeches during these events. So those are good to go to as well.
Okay.
So really hitting kind of local events and such.
Okay. Now, here's one thing that I'm kind of fascinated with. So what coverage do you have right now on your board? Because that's really where most of you guys are doing most of the work, but that's where most of your information is coming from. And then what coverage are you planning for, and how are you planning for it?
Coverage is in the areas that
you're lacking.
Okay. So basically, we kind of did things a little bit different, a little odd. Part of our advisory board is actually one of the founders of the development company that we hired to create Inc. So we have a technical aspect of it, and the company's vested as well as an advisor.
Okay.
So that's something that's a little bit different. So that kind of covers that end of things.
So he's got the tech end covered.
He's got the tech end covered, and we kind of have a vested out schedule of him also representing the acting CTO for a certain amount of time in the beginning as well. We did that just as we don't have the capital right in the beginning to kind of afford a CTO, so it was a way for us to get what we need, get around kind of that hurdle.
Super creative.
Right.
Yeah.
Alongside that, we have a couple former executives from the cellular side of things, which I had mentioned before. And then we also have a couple prior executives from this area of Orange County that deal with just kind of different kinds of business, whether it be commercial real estate, running nonprofits, things that could help at different angles along the way and kind of build the interior of a business as well.
Okay. So you're launching pretty soon. Do you have somebody on board who's helping you guys out with the launch?
Yes. So one of the ladies who came on early on is an advisor. She's dealt in the world running a nonprofit herself of, kind of creating launch situations. And going from there. So yeah, we have her, and then the Cove, I would say, is a huge help as well. Having an incubator and an ecosystem around you that you can lean on and has resources can definitely help as well. So they kind of extend an open arm from their angle too.
So from your perspective, the incubator has kind of been the biggest help.
I think it's been the biggest help.
Yeah.
You're lost unless you're from a tech background a lot of times. So if you can find a ecosystem, like an incubator and accelerator, it can change your lives. And if somebody there can't, they're going to know somebody that can.
Yeah. I would imagine, just being able to leverage that network has been huge for you.
Yeah, very much so.
So let's talk about kind of, this is a recruiting process, right? So my perspective is that whenever you're building a team, be it an advisory board or your core team, you really want to make sure that you research and find influencers of the people that you want, right? Having a strong team for all aspects is going to be the biggest reason why your company either fails or succeeds. Correct. So how often do you go after people who maybe are going to kind of challenge you or just, kind of agree with you? I mean, what's your kind of philosophy on that?
And I know we kind of played around with this a little bit before. It kind of drew some laughter because I'm dealing with this right now, but you don't want somebody who's there to say yeah and just listen and agree with you.
Yep.
The more arguments you're going to get a lot of times, the better, because they're being honest and
Yep.
they're seasoned in an industry or an area in which perhaps you're not, so they're going to bring conflict up. And I think that, well, we all know conflict creates growth in almost all aspects. So you want the people that are going to challenge you. You want the people that aren't going to agree with you all the time, because at the very least, what you're going to get out of that is perspective, and that perspective is different perspective.
Yep.
And that can definitely create many different facets for you.
Well, I also think it's going to help you develop as a CEO as you build your team out. You're going to be able to be okay with people challenging what you think is right. Right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you think that you're going in a direction, and so not surrounding yourself with yes men is a huge thing.
Is key,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. So, some other steps I think that are really important is that if you're going to start recruiting your board of advisors, you need to prepare for what you're going after. You need to give a little bit first before you ask for somebody to join your network. I always advise people to reach out. Maybe you saw an article they wrote, or if you've got somebody specific that you're trying to get, you have to give first before you ask. I don't know if that's something that's kind of worked into your model, but it's always been very helpful for us.
Yeah, give some, don't give too much, and I think a lot of people give too much. And if you're nervous around those kind of things, break down your vesting schedule to a shorter period of time and test it out, but have it contracted so they don't walk away. Instead of saying over the next 2 years hit these milestones, say, okay, let's do a quarter percent, whatever that number is, and test this out over the next year or the next 6 months or whatever you want it to be. That way you still can hold equity and kind of feel the relationship out and make sure you're getting what you need to get.
Well, yeah, and I love how you're putting your board of advisors to work with you. Right. So how much time are they spending typically?
That really varies just due to kind of what the value is and what each one of them kind of provide.
Sure.
And that's really going to come down to you. Some of them can be, once a week I need at least an hour, or twice a week, an hour each of your time, for whatever you kind of dictate your rules out to be. But, if you're able to at least meet weekly and get some sort of answers and kind of forthgoing material, then in my book you're doing somewhat all right.
Yeah.
So
now, did you have anybody that you targeted that you really wanted to get on your board that said no?
I have not.
Okay.
I have not come across that yet, but I do have one or two people in mind, especially coming up into the near future, that I don't know very well, that'll be interesting to get responses from. Got it.
So, I always take it from the perspective, from a recruiting angle, is that you want the people to say no first. You have to be persistent, and you have to build that relationship with them.
Right.
Because those are usually the best people. Their time is valuable, and they're not going to give it very easily.
Yeah, and you're also going to have to see kind of if they're willing to play ball with you. A lot of times if you even bring up the idea of, hey, we're gonna do X, Y, and Z and do a vesting type schedule, you're going to see which advisors are really serious and which are not in that sense as well.
Yeah, very true. All right, so takeaways from this. You want to identify the people that you want to bring on your board. You want to prepare for it. Make sure you leverage your network. Ask for introductions through your inner circle. Don't recruit yes men, people who are going to challenge you and keep you honest. And be persistent. Anything you'd like to add on that?
If I were to briefly, I'd say as long as you're passionate about something, push full force. Nobody's promised what's going to happen tomorrow, and I think a lot of the problem is people are scared to take the risk. Take the risk.
Absolutely. Such a good message for everybody. So we're almost out of time for today's show. John, thanks again for your time investment with us in the Higher Power Radio community. Now, what would be the best way for anybody who wants to find out about Inc. or yourself to get in touch with you?
They can, I guess, shoot me a message or whatnot via LinkedIn, which I just broke down and created one of those this year, actually. So just look up,
welcome to the team.
Yeah, just finding John Shower on there and messaging's fine.
And that's Jon.
Jon, yes.
Okay. What about email?
Email, yes, it is john.shower@inc.cards.
Nice. Okay, it's SHOWER.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Just like taking a shower, I say.
Perfect. So when should people kind of follow your website and look for that launch?
Here in about a month, I'd say is a good time to be checking. We're finishing alpha testing right now and playing around with Google and Apple, and hopefully we'll be ready.
Okay. And you want to plug a little bit about the company and what it is? I know it's a networking app. But
yeah. So I mean, basically, it's a new platform that'll be web and mobile, and it's to help people find the people they're looking for, more particularly towards event-type situations, and an easy way to exchange information, and then build upon that relationship.
So it's like a targeted LinkedIn, in a way.
I've heard that a couple times.
That would just be what I'm assuming. I haven't seen the platform, but
Yeah. So basically, really trying to kind of help you. A lot of the times it's missed opportunities that we run into in a lot of situations like events, and we've created a system to help you kind of find what you're looking for.
Got it. All right. And with that, I want to thank our listening audience for tuning in this week's episode of Higher Power. A quick shout out to our team, our engineer Paul Roberts, our producers Andrea Ballin, Shanti Ryle, and Kim Iverson. To listen to this show and any of our past episodes, you can reach us on higherpowerradio.com. You can also check out Higher Power or Rick Jarrard, Executive Recruiter, on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook. We're, all those normal places. So thanks again for joining us. Tune in next week as our guest will be Sean Farrell, the CEO and coach of Managed Solution. I'm your host, Rick Jarrard, and you have been listening to the Higher Power Radio Show. Aloha.
Thank you for listening to Higher Power with Rick Jarrard on OC Talk Radio.
He used to pester me for a walk. Now, it's the other